So, is AI Max worth it? The campaign type's been out for some time now. I think around 6 months to a year, and I have, finally put quite a bit of money behind it to actually see whether it is worth adding to your account structure. Is this something that is improving performance, or is it just, one of Google's new campaigns that don't really do much, right? So let's get into it. The first thing I just wanted to discuss is how search behavior is changing, and then how Google is responding. So I get a lot of case studies around AI Max sent to me from Google reps, etc. It's in their best interest to push the campaign type because it's Google's newest thing, and they want you to spend money, right? So one of the stats that stand out to me in these case study or case studies that they send to me and in the facts, etc., is one stat, and the stat is that query length is growing at a 1.5x faster rate than it was a year ago, right? So that's Google's claim. Now with more conversational, AI, people are actually going to Google and they're typing in questions. They're interacting with Google as they would, interact with any LLM, right? They're actually talking to it. And since they're actually talking to it, the complexity of a search is lengthening, and therefore AI Max is their response to I guess this changing nature, right? So as a result, AI Max does three things, right? So for those who don't know too much about AI Max, this is what it does. So if you are familiar with dynamic search ads, it's somewhat similar to that, but more powerful. So uh, Google will read your website, and based off the content on your website, it will go and then show your ads to people searching up queries that Google believes is relevant to whatever service or product you're selling, right? So then Google will show your ad in front of those people, right? So pretty much DSA, but stronger because it's using Google's latest algorithms and all of that, right? The next thing it also does is um, since it is technically using more powerful algorithms, the bidding is somewhat better, right? Like the audience signals that this particular campaign type is leveraging are more powerful because it has to look at the content on your website, then it has to match the person's signals on Google, and then Google decides, is it worth actually bidding on this particular user based off all of that stuff, right? So again, this is in theory, it's supposed to be stronger. In practice, we'll see, right? And then the last thing as well is that AI Max allows you to run ads in the AI mode, right? So if you go to Google, you'll see a new kind of box next to maps, images, etc. And it's AI mode. And this is where you can use Gemini and actually have a conversation with Google around what you're looking for. And at the very, very bottom of that conversation, Google can place a sponsored ad. And the only way to run an ad in that conversation is by leveraging AI Max. So I think this is really important. And the thing that I really wanted to measure when running this for a few of my clients was, is this stat true, right? Like, is query length in fact growing? Like, is it actually growing? And by leveraging AI Max, are we getting high quality, queries? And are we, seeing an improvement in performance because we're showing up for more complex searches? That's what I wanted to see. So, what was the result? The result was good, right? Like, you know, basically conversions increased, CPO decreased. That's what you want to see. We spent, more or less the same amount. the control and on the treatment, or on the experiment, and we saw an improvement in performance. And like we actually did. Like this is, yeah, this is, I guess, evidence to show that AI Max in fact outperformed a non AI Max standard search campaign that was just using broad match keywords. All right, so yeah, pretty promising results. However, the findings showed an interesting story. So as I said, this is what I wanted to see, but in reality, in practice, this is what we saw. So the first thing is, did query length actually change? No, it didn't. Query length was pretty much the exact same. Before, like the baseline average was around 3.3 words in a query. And then when we were using AI Max, it pretty much stayed the same. And then if you only look at AI Max rows, right, in the search terms, it was actually slightly less, right? So the search terms that had the AI Max match type, the query length was actually a little less, but pretty much it's the exact same, right? We're looking at 3 to 3.5. So it wasn't query length that changed. The thing that actually changed was the volume of queries that we showed up for. So we saw a 54% increase in new search terms or new terms, not in that didn't appear in the previous period. And this volume, this increase in the amount of queries we showed up for, or you can even call it query variety in a way, is what led to this improvement in performance. It was just showing up for more stuff. And the way we were able to show up for more queries was because Google was looking past our keywords, our keyword selection, and actually looking at our website and then matching the content on the website with the queries from users it believed were relevant, even if we weren't bidding on the keyword, which is basically what AI Max is. So performance improved, but the reason it improved is because AI Max is exploring new queries, and that's it. Right? I also wrote they are just not longer or more conversational than what existing match types were already finding. Right? So that's what I found. And look, is it worth running? 100%. Definitely test it for your clients. And I think it's something that I'm going to continue to test. If I'm being honest, I haven't spent like a lot of money. Right? Like you can see 3K, right? In this particular example, there was a few other clients that I tested it for as well. Like I wouldn't say I've spent an enormous amount on AI Max. There's people who have spent a lot more than me, for sure. But am I seeing improvement in performance? Absolutely. Is it from what I expected to drive that improvement in performance? No. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, but it's just something to keep an eye on. So definitely try it. I think the only way you know if it's going to work for your client or for your business is by actually testing it. If you don't test it, you don't know. So is AI Max worth it? Yeah, it depends. And the only way you can find out is by testing it. So I hope that was helpful. And I hope you got kind of something that you're looking for in terms of the whole AI Max conversation right now. And I will see you in the next one.